Until then, I'm pro-choice because I care about sentience, which is why I'm vegan. Hello?
Hello.
Hello? Hey, what's up?
Can you? Oh, not much. Just getting ready to go camping. But I was wondering along the
Oh, yeah.
lines of like how you feel like um, plants are studied to be alive. They're studied to feel stress under painful situations. I mean, are you a meat-based diet because of what it does to animals?
Okay, so well, I'm not a meat-based diet, right? I'm vegan, but
Oh yeah,
plants
no,
absolutely are
I
not
know.
sentient. That's what you're confusing is reacting to stimuli. So plants react to stimuli like a calculator or your phone reacts to stimuli. They do not have a brain or a central nervous system, so they cannot be sentient by definition, right? And even if you actually did believe that plants are sentient, even if you actually thought that cutting a soybean was the same thing as cutting a cow's throat, you would still be vegan. That would still be a stronger argument to go vegan because 70% of soy is grown to feed the animals that you eat. Peer-reviewed research shows it takes upwards of 13 times more crops in order to produce just 1 kilogram of meat. So when you're eating animals, not only are you killing animals, you're also killing 13 times more plants that you claim to care so much about, which is
And
why
when
animal
you're eating
agriculture is also the
plants, you're
number one cause of
killing
deforestation.
animals.
So
When
that
you're
would
eating
actually be
plants, when
so
you
that
eat
would actually
plants,
be a
you
stronger
also
argument
kill
to go
animals.
vegan.
You
What's
kill
that?
animals. You also kill animals when you eat plants. You take away their environment, you take away everything else. I mean, that argument can
Okay,
go both ways.
so once again, if you care about this, that would be a stronger argument to go vegan because the majority of crops are grown to feed the animals that you eat. This is why the largest meta-analysis to date on the relationship between food and our environment shows that if we were to switch to a vegan diet, we'd reduce global farmland by 75% because the animals that you eat take up far more land and the crops that it takes to feed these animals takes up far more land. So if you actually cared about this, you would be vegan. So you're making a stronger argument to go vegan right now.
I just don't understand like at what aspect that makes. I mean, either is killing. Either being plant-based or being meat-based is still killing, whether you're killing
And meat
plants or
based is
whether you're
killing a
killing
lot more.
animals.
So why are you choosing the option that kills a lot more? This is the equivalent of a serial killer saying, "Yeah, well, I killed hundreds of people today, but you know what? Like you live in a construction house, construction's dangerous. People die sometimes. People are always going to die. So why can't I just kill as much as possible?" Yes, a plant-based diet still kills, but it kills much less. So why are you choosing the option that kills much more when you do not need to?
I mean, each person is choosing the option
You,
regardless of
like
what
here, I'll,
argument you
I'll show
want to
you what
make.
your argument justifies right now. You're saying, okay, well, yeah,
Okay.
so more crops are grown to feed the animals that we eat. So yes, more death does happen from eating
Yeah.
animals. But I'm still
Yeah.
justified to eat animals because your diet still kills some animals. This logic held consistently would
It
justify
doesn't kill
killing humans, and
some
I'll explain
animals.
why. Humans
It kills a lot of
humans also
animals.
die. Humans also die while harvesting crops to feed your animals. That does not mean we are therefore justified to farm billions of humans into existence and eat them just because some humans die. That's terrible logic. That's literally the logic you're using right now.
I mean, that's logic that you're twisting what I'm saying into.
No,
That's
that's your
that's not
logic.
my
You're saying
actual
because
logic.
because some animal death happens, that justifies me to kill as much
It's
animals as
not
possible.
some
That
animal
logic held
death. It's a
consistently
large
would say that
amount.
because some humans die, that means I'm justified to kill as much humans as possible.
A
You're
large
contradicting yourself.
a large amount of small and large animals are killed due to crops and everything else. You literally take away their environments. There's a lot of
Okay,
field mice.
so
There's a lot of you can go
so
like
So I'm not sure if you're
in
incapable of listening, but I already explained this. The animals that you eat, according to peer-reviewed research, takes 13 kilograms or more of crops to make just 1 kilogram of meat. So when you eat animals on top of the animals that you are slitting their throats, you are also causing 13 times more crop death that you claim to care about. So if you care about crop death, why aren't you vegan when by going vegan you would require less crops to be grown and less land to be used, as stated by the largest meta-analysis to date on the relationship between food and our
I
environment?
mean either way I'm a killer, right?
And
It's
one year
just a
and
smaller
well, no,
amount.
one year killing much less. As I said, okay, so you're back to this logic. Well, because some animals die, that means I can kill as much animals as possible. So some humans also die while harvesting crops. Does that mean it's okay to farm and kill as much humans as possible because some humans sometimes die while harvesting crops?
I mean, how do they die while harvesting
They get
crops?
caught in combine harvesters. It happened to a farmer down the road from me. So are you going
That's
to be
kind of
are
gross.
you going to be consistent and say that because some humans die while harvesting crops, that means we're morally justified to farm and kill as much
I
humans
mean,
as we
did they
want?
eat him after?
Oh, sure. Yeah, sure. Sure. Yep. We eat the humans after. Is it morally justified? Because some humans die while harvesting crops?
No. No, I'm just saying, I mean, it's different
No,
for
it's not different because it's exactly your logic. You're saying because some sentient beings die in one instance, that means we can kill as much sentient beings as we want. And then on the other hand, you're also saying that because some sentient beings died, that does not mean we can kill as much sentient beings as we want. So that is called a contradiction. You're saying P is P, you're saying P and not P, which is a contradiction. You're contradicting yourself. You're saying on one hand, because it's a minimal amount of sentient beings die, that means we can kill as much as possible. And on the other hand, because a minimal amount of sentient beings die, we cannot kill as much as possible. So you're contradicting yourself, ma'am.
I mean, I get how you're saying it's contradiction in itself
Because it is.
because of the larger amount, but I mean, in cases with like let's say how you said you're pro-life up to the point that it's sentient. I mean, that's still killing. I mean, if you accept a lower rate, I mean, that doesn't necessarily make you better, you know? Like,
So
oh,
once again, I'll ask you again. So once again, so you're saying that because a minimal amount of sentient beings must die in order to starve
no,
crops,
you're saying
that
because I'm
justifies you.
in
No,
a
listen,
minimal
listen,
amount.
listen. Stop, because you're making really bad points right now. You're saying because a minimal
Okay.
amount of sentient beings die from harvesting crops, that justifies you to farm, kill, abuse, exploit as much sentient beings as you possibly want. Yes or no?
No, like I'm not
Okay, then
abusing
why are you
animals for it.
bringing that up? Then you're not saying that. So why aren't you choosing the option that causes the least amount of sentient beings to die? If that's not your argument,
I mean my like you just throw the argument back in reverse. You're just literally no matter what I say, if I say that it's bad because so many animals die or it's bad because less animals die, you're throwing the argument back regardless of which argument, which
I'm
is
just using
it's
your logic and applying it in another context to show why your logic is contradicting itself. So I'll ask you
and
again: why are you justified to kill as much sentient beings as you want, farm them, abuse them, exploit them by the billions every year, just because some
and
sentient beings may
you're
or may not die
saying
in crop
you.
harvesting?
Oh,
Huh?
bro, you're saying you. You're saying I personally do that. You're saying I personally go out and I personally abuse animals and I personally do
Oh,
this
so it's
stuff and I
okay. So it's
personally
okay
kill
because
them.
you
That's
pay
not.
someone else to do it. So it's okay because you pay someone else to do it. So if you were to pay a hitman to kill somebody, it's okay because you personally didn't do it. Is that your
I
argument now?
mean, yeah, sure.
So, oh, okay. So paying a hitman is okay because you didn't personally kill the person the hitman did.
I mean, if my friend goes out and has an abortion, am I liable
This
for
is
it?
this is where it leads to. This is what happens when you try to argue against veganism and you have no idea what you're talking about. You just justified paying hitmen to kill people because you're not the one killing them.
No, I went along with what you're saying because I feel like it's asinine because you're
Well,
making
it was your logic.
relations
It was
that
your
have
logic. You
nothing.
said because you're paying for it to happen, that means it's morally justified because you're not doing it yourself. So no, actually, it's your logic. So you can A, contradict yourself and say it's not okay, or B, justify paying hitmen to kill people because you're not killing them yourselves. Which one is it? Are you going to contradict yourself or justify paying hitmen?
I mean, let's go with justifying paying hitmen. I
Yep.
mean,
Okay. Here we go. Just justified paying for humans to be killed. I mean, where do we
uh,
go from here, right? You just justified paying hitmen to kill people. This is what
so
happens when you try to argue against veganism. You're trapped in corners where you have to say absolutely absurd things to remain morally consistent, such as it's okay to pay hitman to kill people.
I mean, if it was a world apocalypse, I probably would eat people. Touche.
Yeah, cool, but we're not in a world apocalypse, are we? We're in a situation where
No.
where we have access to grocery stores in a first world country where we can be
Yeah.
perfectly healthy and eat plants instead. So why are you not doing that? Why are you paying for the abuse, exploitation, and slaughter of animals when you could eat plants instead?
I mean, I guess I don't know. Maybe you got me, maybe you don't.
You
But
have nothing. You came up here
it,
with no argument. What's that?
now the arguments I came up with, you're not willing to even undertake. You're saying because you do
Well, no, the
less, you're
arguments
better
that you
than
came
me
up with the well, no, my arguments are better than yours, right? And yes, actually, I am better. Just as a fact, as somebody who doesn't abuse dogs is better than somebody who
because
does
you do
abuse dogs.
less.
You have no
Because
argument. The
you
only
do
argument that
less.
you gave was it's morally justified because you pay somebody else to do it. You literally justified paying hitmen to kill people. That was your argument.
That was
Pay
yours, and I'm
hitmen to
just
kill
gonna go
people.
along with what you say because you're twisting shit.
Well, no,
And if
that
you
was
want to
your
twist it
logic,
as
right?
far as me
No,
eating a
that's not
steak
twisting at
is
all.
in
What is
comparison to me
twisted? Because
hiring a
nope,
hitman, that's
false.
asinine. That's
It's the
asinine.
exact
Me
same logic
me
you
eating
used.
a steak
You
is
said it is
in
okay for
comparison.
it. You said no. You have no idea what you're talking about. You said it is okay for you to pay for animals to die because you are not paying for them to die because you are not killing them yourself. You're paying for them to die. You are not killing them yourself.
No,
So
I
I
just
said, oh,
corrected you
okay. So
saying
that
that
means
I wasn't the one
is
abusing
it
them. I
okay for a
corrected you
hitman?
and I said I was not the one abusing them, and then you twisted that logic into it
Yes,
was me
exactly,
paying for them to
exactly.
die. You twisted that logic. I
Yeah,
never
you're
said that
correct.
logic. I never
You're
honestly
not the
said that
one.
logic that I would actually hire a hitman as same as I would eat steak. I never said that. That's where you're
Well,
twisted. I just went along with it because it's kind of
you quite
hilarious.
literally did say that. You quite literally did say that, and I'm going to
Yeah,
post it later on my
yeah.
TikTok because you're lying right
No,
now. You
no,
did
you
say that.
can't
But
because
one,
I
so your
literally did
argument,
in
so your
mocking
argument
you.
is, so your argument is because you're not the one hurting the animals yourselves. You're paying for animals to be killed. You're paying somebody else to kill the animals for you. So that makes it okay. Even though you're still causing the animal to be killed because you're the one paying for it to happen. And if you weren't paying for it to happen, it wouldn't happen. So you're still causing the animal to have its throat slit. So you're
What if
saying
I had
because
my
you're not
own
doing it
farm?
yourself, that means it's
What if
morally
I killed
justified.
my own animals? What if I didn't abuse them? What if I had my own farm? Where would your argument go
Okay,
with that?
so now you're changing your so now you're leaving that argument behind because you realize that you justified paying hitmen to kill people. So if you kill them yourselves, that doesn't make a difference because you're still killing them. You're going against the argument that you just made. So now you're ditching that and saying it's okay because you kill them yourselves. So just because you kill them
Okay.
yourselves doesn't make it any better because you could still just not kill them at all. The animal doesn't care who kills them; it just doesn't want to be killed.
Facts.
Is it better if I kill a dog by myself versus paying somebody else to do it?
No.
Okay, then why would you use that argument? So you don't even believe in your own logic. You just disagree with
I
your own logic.
Yes, I mean, no, the way that you're saying stuff and the way you're twisting it is making
How am I
it
twisting
sound
it?
like I'm
How am I
because you're
twisting it? I'm
saying
using your
in no
exact
aspect
logic.
is it okay to kill an animal. At the same time, you're saying in an aspect it is okay to kill animals as long as you're killing them in smaller scales. I mean,
That's
you
completely false.
you
So
can be
nice straw
hypocritical as
man.
much as I can
So,
be hypocritical. Like
so nice
you're
straw man.
saying,
Well, you are
I
so
kill
you're hypocritical, and I pointed it out in multiple ways. So you're saying crop death is bad because animals die while harvesting crops. I also think crop death is bad, which is why I minimize crop death by
yet
going
you
vegan
pay
because the
for it.
animals that you eat
Yet you pay other people to do
you
it.
can't talk every time I'm responding to your point, right? Because you make a
Okay.
stupid point and then I have to respond to it and then you talk over me. The animals that
Okay.
you eat require 13 kilograms of crops to make 1 kilogram of meat. So when you pay for animals to have their throats slit, you're also causing 13 times more crop death. So if you cared about crop death, you would be vegan. That would be a stronger argument to go vegan. So why aren't you vegan if you care about crop death?
Why don't you grow your own vegetables?
Because I live in Michigan and can't do it and don't have the time to do that.
Oh, so then you're paying to kill animals. So in your justification, you could
Okay,
actually do better too. You could do better.
because humans die while harvesting crops, that means we're justified
See,
to farm
you
humans
already
into
made that
existence and
argument.
kill
It
humans
has
by the
nothing to
millions.
do with you doing your own growing. That has nothing to do with it at all.
Well, it
You
does
can
because there's
honestly
no
do better.
possible way I could have the time while working 12-hour shifts to literally grow. You think so? Let me get this straight. You think that going from picking meat to picking vegetables in the grocery store, moving your hand 2 inches to the left, is the same thing as taking hours out of your day every single day of your life to grow an entire garden, which you couldn't even grow in the wintertime, so you'd starve to death during the wintertime. You think that's the same thing?
That's it's kind of weird. I think they're called
Well, it's
like
not weird because it's more
what's it
logic.
called
So once again,
when
I
you
ask
have
you,
your own. Okay,
what's
see,
that?
now you're cutting me off. So you can grow in off months and you can grow enough to have supply for off months. And if you're saying that you don't have enough time to water said plants, I mean that's just going along with your excuse. So I mean, you have the same excuses based upon people that do eat meat. Like, where do I have the time or the money to just go straight plant-based? And
Yeah.
especially if it's plant-based to the part where it does not injure any animals, I would have to be purchasing from people that grow, from literal farms and not like
Nobody's
my
asking you
home
to.
farm.
Yep.
That would be
So you made a
that
lot of
would
really
be the
stupid points.
fully
Yep.
justified
Yep.
in not killing animals. That would literally be the
Yep.
full justification. Is you
So
grow your
nobody's
own,
so
you
no
buy your
yep, you
own,
can
and
keep
that
incoherently
money,
rambling because you don't want me to respond.
how do I have
Okay.
that money? How do I
So
have that money?
yeah,
You know
so
how
A,
expensive being
nobody's
vegan
asking
is?
you to You do
Like,
you have to let me respond, or I'm going to kick you because you keep just incoherently rambling and not letting me respond. So nobody's asking you to take time and grow your own garden. We're just asking you to pick plant-based alternatives instead of paying for animals to have their throats slit when you don't need to. B, going vegan is cheaper, as stated by a large study out of Oxford, which shows a vegan diet is 33% cheaper. So that is just objectively false to say it's more expensive. C, it takes no less time to go move your hand 2 inches to the left and pick a vegetable alternative instead of meat. So why are you choosing to pay for animals to be abused, exploited, and slaughtered when you could just pay for vegetables instead?
because I cannot honestly afford that shiz.
Well,
My daughter's dad is
that's false
vegan,
because a
and
large study out of Oxford shows a vegan diet is
literally, I've
33% cheaper.
I've see
So
you say that
you're
not
just
to
making
interrupt
more
you.
bullshit claims. So
You say not to
oats,
interrupt you, but then you interrupt me.
oats.
My
Well,
daughter's
because you're
father
making
is
claims
full
that are
blown
factually
vegan.
incorrect, huh?
Vegan meals are far more expensive. Like they are.
Where's your
When you're
evidence for
full
that?
blown
Because I
vegan,
have a large study out of Oxford that shows a vegan diet's 33% cheaper. Beans, oats, lentils, pasta, legumes, potatoes, all far cheaper than meat and dairy, which is why first world countries consume more meat and dairy and poor third world countries consume less meat and dairy. So the evidence is against you. The facts do not care about your feelings.
um, what's that white stuff called? I don't know why it slipped my brain. Maybe it's like um tofu. Tofu is not effing cheap by any means. And a lot of the
Okay,
stuff is
so
tofu based. And paying for that tofu and paying for everything else is it's not 33% cheaper by any
well,
means necessary.
a vegan diet is 33% cheaper. That's according to a large study out of Oxford. And to say that it's not is to disagree with the scientific evidence. And so I would ask for you to provide evidence yourself, which it seems you have none. Two, yes, you
Paying
can
for
handpick certain vegan
tofu.
items, which are more expensive than certain animal-based items. In the same way, I can handpick certain animal-based items, such as lobster or filet mignons, that are way more expensive than certain plant-based options, such as beans, legumes, rice, or lentils. Which is why we look at the diet as a whole to see what is cheaper, and the evidence shows that a vegan diet is 33% cheaper. So your excuse of, oh, I don't have the money, is just factually incorrect according to the largest study we have on this subject.
All right. I mean, we'll go with the Oxford study and say that it's 33% cheaper and it kills like how much percentage less animals? I mean, what percentage less of animals die from a plant-based diet? Do you even know that?
I have no idea the percentage less animals that die, and it doesn't matter because the
You
fact
just
is
know that it
that less
is
animals
less.
do die. So why aren't you vegan? Why
Okay.
are you paying for more animals to die? Right? We already went over this. It takes
Shh,
13 times more
Dad.
crops to feed the animals that you eat. So on top of killing animals, you oh yep, she rage quit because she has no argument. So this argument of, oh well, crops kill animals because animals die in crop harvesting, that is an argument for veganism because according to peer-reviewed research, it takes 13 kilograms of crops to make just 1 kilogram of meat. So 13 times more crop death happens when you eat meat and pay for animals to die, right? So if you actually cared about crop death, that would be a stronger argument to go vegan, which is why the largest meta-analysis to date on the relationship between food and our environment concludes that we would reduce global farmland by 75% by switching to a vegan diet. And then her argument was, oh, well, some animals still die, so that means I can kill as much animals as possible, which is an appeal to futility fallacy and would justify farming and killing humans because some humans also die while harvesting crops.